Pink Floyd record I was looking for ago. It was here just yesterday. What are they listening to over there? Hey, hey you. Hey, I see you're listening to Pink Floyd here. Mind if I yap to you about their history, their lore? You do? Well, you're a Pink Floyd fan. I'm a Pink Floyd fan, so I'm gonna yap anyways. Yeah. I mean, nobody knows Pink Floyd as much as me. So, I think you're in for a treat. This is a pretty neat system they have here. Just putting the record in, and then it somehow shows up on the TV. Anyways, let's start from the beginning. So, obviously, every band has their beginnings. How they meet up, how they met up, how they decided they wanted to start making music. But yeah, so no, you're not interrupting me. I am doing this. Yeah. So just sit down and let me yap your ear off. So, Pink Floyd. Who are they? I mean, obviously, you know them. They're a band. But yeah, let's start at the beginning here. So, Pink Floyd, formed by two friends who were in college. I believe it was either some kind of music or art school. But yeah, they decided, one day, oh, let's make some music. And so they were on the search for more members. You see, we had Sid Barrett, who was I believe, the vocalist. And then we had Roger Waters, who was the guitarist, the lead guitar. I believe Sid might have also played some guitar too. Yeah. So maybe I don't know the most about them. But on to looking for new members. Although there is one funny thing before I get into that, is that Sid's name, his first name Sid was actually his middle name, because his first name was Roger, and you can't exactly have two Rogers without making things a little confusing, unless you use their last names all the time. And so, Sid went for Sid. So there's a little tidbit. I might be a little everywhere, and I do apologize for that. I love this band so much, and it excites me to talk about them. But yes, so they went and they were hanging out some apartment, some house, I don't know, a place where all the youth at the time would chill listen to music, smoke some weed, as it might not have been the best back then, but it was still that green. And so, I believe this might have been where they met Richard Wright and Nick Mason. And, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, so they meet Nick Mason, the drummer, and Rick Wright, I think he was the pianist. He might have done, he did some vocals in some songs. And so did Nick Mason. But yeah, their main roles were pianist and drummer. And so they went on to create an actual band. Now, I believe they did have some music already made after forming the band, and so they were at that time kind of just touring small gigs, get the name out there. But the thing is, they didn't always have the name Pink Floyd. They also went as, I think the first name was the Screaming Abdabs, which there is also actually a record bootleg, I think, with some of the older stuff on it, named that as a reference to what they could have been named. And then they also thought of the name The Tea Set. The Tea Set. The Tea Set. And I'm not quite sure what they were going for with that one. But with the Screaming Abdabs, with the music they did make, I could see it working, but not as well as Pink Floyd. But yeah. And then they had, after those two, there was the Pink Floyd. Would have been the Pink Floyd sound. Yeah, I know there was at least the Pink Floyd, and then there was the name you and I know and love today, which is just Pink Floyd, which, if I can recall correctly, it was named after, it was inspired by a couple people. I can't remember who it was, like what their names were, but they did there was at least Pink and Floyd in both those names. And so, yeah, after the band was all set up, ready to go, had their name, played some live gigs, they eventually decided to make their first album. Or, well, I guess some singles before the album. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Those singles being, what I can remember off the top of my head, would be Apples and Oranges, which personally I haven't listened to. I heard it wasn't the best, but hey, can't knock it till you listen to it, in this case, I guess. And then there was See Emily Play, which is a very good one. One of my favorite singles. Because, there is no other day. Let's try another way. You lose your mind at play. Free games for me. And then there was, let's see, there was also, why am I drawing a blank? I mean, there was pretty, oh yes, candy on a currant bun, which was originally gonna be named Let's Roll Another One, implying, let's roll another joint. But the music industry producers, people who put it out basically, they were not very fond of a song implying that you should, let's go smoke some weed. And they also thought that people might not really like that song either. So, hence, renamed into Candy on a Currant Bun. Yeah. And then, let's see, there was, yes, Vegetable Man. And that time, well, let's see, yes, I think that was before the first album. Sid might have been into psychedelics a bit at that point, and so he was explaining himself, I guess, kind of how he is the Vegetable Man, how he doesn't really feel well about himself, and he thinks this is the way other people see him too, as kind of a bit of a crazed person. But now that I think about that, it's that's a little further in the story, I think. Yeah. Like I said, too excited. But after those singles, there came the album Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And that one, Piper, was a pretty big hit as for, well, it is today at least, for people who know or listen to Pink Floyd. But had some pretty good songs, pretty experimental at the time, and even experimental nowadays too. Because I'm not quite sure if I've heard another person quite make the sound like that. Very good album though, but on the album cover, it's just the four guys, Sid, Roger, Nick, and Rick, and they're looking pretty spiffy, all matching suits, or I don't know what those would be called, but they were looking a little goofy. So, but still a pretty good album cover nonetheless. Had a kind of reflecting them, so you could see multiple of each of the band members, and kind of simple, but also kind of dope too. But yeah, let's get into the songs in that album. Now, one that I really like from that is Astronomy Domine. And that one, I'm not quite sure what it's about, but is a very good song. I think maybe about astronomy. But yeah, let's continue here. But yeah, that's my favorite song. And then there is Interstellar Overdrive. Interstellar Overdrive. Which, that one is an instrumental, which starts off very good, and then there's a little, in the middle there, a little like high-pitched plucking sound, like they're low, like very close to the bottom of the guitar bars. And so it's kind of a, recurring, like, high-pitched strum of one note, which can throw some people off. But if you continue listening, it gets right back into the action. Really, there's a really nice, like, little, not really drum solo, because there's also other instruments being played, but a very fast, drums being played very fast, like, and then goes right back into the music, and I really love it. It's it is 7 minutes long, so it's a pretty good one for like road trips or long drives. And then let's see, there's the song Bike. I've got a bike. You can ride it if you like. It's got a basket, a bell, and things to make it look good. I'd give it to you if I could, but I borrowed it. That one, that's just Sid singing about a bike. And some other things that he would like to share. And it is also kind of talking about love. Because it's kind of like, in the lyrics it says, I'd give you everything, one thing, if you want things, or something like that. Which I can imagine, it could just be a friend, or it could be someone that he's into, and saying like, I would give you all this. And then there is, let's see, take up thy stethoscope and walk. Which, that one is an interesting one, good one. I mean, I think all of their songs are good because, well, I love their music. But yeah, that one is, I guess, kind of the lyrics I can't remember. Maybe somebody who's sick, or maybe it's a doctor taking care of somebody who's sick. Yes, it's somebody who's sick. Because, well, the opening lyrics that I can remember are, I'm in bed, gold is lead, choke on bread. So, I mean, only the I'm in bed part really works. And then later on in the song, it's the lyrics, music seems to help the brain. Doctor, kindly tell my wife that I'm alive. Realize, realize, realize. yeah, I guess those last few words aren't necessarily relevant, but hey, I can't stop myself. Let's see. Then there is flaming. Maybe something about being a little lonely. Maybe a little stalkery. The lonely part coming from alone and the clouds all blue. So, obviously, he's a little sad about it, being alone. Lying on an eiderdown. And the stalkery part. Yippee, you can't see me, but I can you. So, it's obvious he's watching somebody from the shadows, or maybe from the clouds. Yeah, one of those two. And then there is, it's pretty nice because it's a slower song, and then it kind of dissolves into this little tiny instrumental with piano and something that makes like a clapping noise. Maybe a clapper. Or no, I think it might just be drumsticks being hit against something that are not a drum to make a little ticking noise. And then it really comes back up. Well, saying like repeating the lyrics, but this time it seems maybe with more emotion. And they do drag on for a little longer. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the lyrics for that one, at least my favorite lyrics. But I can't seem to right now. So, you're lucky. Let's see. And then, but the song finishes with like a little, like those kind of jingle bells that some shops have on their doors to signify somebody's entered or somebody's left. Yeah, kind of like what they'd have on this one, but I don't see the owner around. There's no calling for help. Not like you'd want to, though. I'm not doing any harm. I'm just yapping your ear off. Yeah. But yes, so ends with a little bell jingle. And then, let's see. Lucifer Sam saw your cat, always sitting by your side. So, obviously, that one is about a guy who's a little delightfully devilish. Or maybe it's just about the man himself, Lucifer. Or maybe it's some kind of warlock. Because I like to imagine, this guy always has a cat by his side. I imagine it's a black cat. And I don't want to sound wrong here, but I'm not sure if you can be a witch if you're a guy, but maybe you can. I won't judge. Maybe that's just how witch things work. Can be a guy or a gal. Anyways, but yeah. Apparently that cat is horrors beyond comprehension, because that cat is something I can't explain. And I think it was on SNL that, if you know the band MGMT, they did a little cover of that. Not quite as good as the original, but, but, I think it was still pretty good. Yeah, and so, during this time, it was, probably when Sid started getting more into psychedelics, and really didn't help his mental, as I think it was after they released their first album, they started touring in the US, and the US apparently was very big at the time for its LSD. So the people he was touring with, I think one of the managers or something, or maybe even his bandmates, they would slip him LSD into his coffee a lot. Like, I think there was 5 sugar cubes at once, because they'd might have had a little, what's the word, a little dropper with a little bit of LSD in it. Would just drop it on the cubes, let it dissolve, and then put it in his coffee. Yeah. So he was pretty darn high while he was in the US. And might have been during or after the tour in the US that they got another band member named David Gilmour. David Gilmour. David Gilmour. And obviously, you know who David Gilmour is. Maybe. But yeah, he became a big part of Pink Floyd. And he helped work on, or was featured in, their second album, which was A Saucer Full of Secrets. Saucer Full of Secrets. Which, that one, you could definitely see the acid starting to wear on Syd Barrett. Yeah, he was I think it was jug band blues mostly, and probably the self-titled track, because the self-titled Saucer Full of Secrets, that track, is a little out there. Definitely worth listening through, though, because the ending is fantastico. But yes, so yeah, around that time was when Sid started to lose it. Whenever they did live shows, sometimes he would mess things up, or he wouldn't show up at all, or show up late, making the show start late, which obviously people would not be happy about. And yeah, there is one song he, in quotations, wrote. Well, I guess he still did write it, but it was called Have You Got It Yet? And that one was just to mess with the band members. You see, every time the band would, in quotes, mess up the song, even though it was changing. Well, I guess that's part. The song would change, and like the tempo, the rhythm, stuff like that. And so after every time they'd mess up, or maybe during the song, he'd say the lyrics, "Have you got it yet?" And eventually, the band realized, oh hey, he's just doing this to screw with us. They were pretty annoyed. You know, they weren't gonna beat him up over it, but I think they called it a day in the studio. And then there was, let's see, well, there was the point of where Sid kind of realized he was probably not going to stick around for long or be kicked out. In the song Jug Band Blues, he noticed like his mental was starting to decline. He was not necessarily going psychotic, but taking too much LSD can cause the brain to fry. And so, in the song Jug Band Blues, that was the last song recorded with him, at least with the music video. But in that song, the lyrics that really speak about how he is kind of starting to get distant from the band, or realizing that his time is soon to come with the band. The lyrics, "You threw away my old shoes and brought me here instead, dressed in red." I feel like that was kind of to signify, those lyrics were to signify like, you threw away my old personality, or kind of a way to say that you are, no, I'll go with that first one. But then you brought me here instead, dressed in red. That, I think, is probably something to do with, like, he's the kind of the target. Like, being dressed in red, you are very noticeable. And kind of a target for being called out on what is going to happen, because he kind of knew what was going to happen. Yeah. And so, one fateful day, the band was on their way to play. Sorry about the rhyming. I just had to rhyme 2 words. Might as well go with the third. But I can't stop. But basically, the band is going to play at a live concert, and they stop at where Sid is staying and talk amongst themselves, saying like, hey, should we even bring Sid to this? Like, should we even pick him up? They all agreed to just go to the show and play without Sid, which I can't remember if he was pissed or not, but I'd imagine so. But yeah, after that point, it was kind of like Sid was out of the band, and David Gilmour was kind of his unfortunate replacement. Unfortunate being just the timing. But yeah, I wonder how they could have sounded today if Sid hadn't gone crazy. He did make his own solo stuff, which is also very good. There's let's see, what was it? I remember his, yes, the Madcap Laughs, his first album. The Madcap Laughs. And then there was his second album, titled Barrett. That one is a little more, I guess they're about the same in weirdness, but still both very good albums. But yeah, luckily David Gilmour and the other guys were still there for him. They helped him produce it, and so didn't completely leave him alone. And yeah, but after those, he went into a solitary life. But I'll talk about that more later. You've got, let's see, well, I did talk about Jug Band Blues. There was Saucerful. I guess next song I can talk about, that is, in A Saucer Full of Secrets, is Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. Set the controls for the heart of the sun. And that one, I can imagine being set the controls, or try to get the thing that's the most valuable to you. But also, not all these songs have to have meanings. They can just be silly. They can be vibes. Just something to listen to. Yeah. But Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun is a kind of has an eerie feeling about it. It's just given the tone of the song, the instruments being played the way they are, and yeah, the lyrics too. I can't really remember all of them. I mostly just remember Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. But yeah, then there is Seesaw, which I like to imagine is kind of something about a man watching somebody he loves, but who is not the most caring about him. Besides him showing her that he likes her, she's not the most mature, maybe. I'm a little confused by the lyrics, but from the lyrics, let's see. She grows up for another man, and I imagine that's kind of saying, like, she has more attraction to him, despite knowing that this other guy liked her. And I mean, she doesn't really care. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting into it too deep. Let's see. And then there's the song Corporal Clegg, which I also imagine is about a kind of a crazy old dude. Just given, the lyrics, like, Corporal Clegg had a wooden leg. He won it in the war. then there was, let's see, Corporal Clegg found a medal too. But later on in the song, well, I forgot what the wooden leg was about, but he received the medal in a dream from Her Majesty the Queen. And so maybe this guy really likes the Queen. Or, I mean, I guess people look up to the Queen. Yeah. But then there's also the lyrics, dear oh dear, are they really sad for me? Dear oh dear, do they really laugh at me? Can't quite remember. I gotta listen to the song. Unfortunately, they don't have it here. But, yeah. And so, that's what I think about Corporal Clegg. Then there's Let There Be More Light, which I don't really know if there's any meaning to that one, or if it's kind of just saying, let there be more light. But, yeah, still a good song nonetheless. And then, yeah, after those ones, that might be all there is to it. I'm probably forgetting a couple. But, yeah. So, it looks like you are getting tired. So, I think that's enough yapping for now. Luckily, the store owner isn't in. At least it doesn't seem like it. Maybe he's in a back room or something. But, get your energy for the next yap sesh, because we'll be going into the post-Sid era. Yeah, the post-Sid era. But yeah, have a good rest and be ready. I'm gonna go look around for more records. Peace.